Ahoy upholders! Last time we were aboard silver ships sailing through the sky. This time we touched down in a faraway land for a fantastical tour. We'll be tripping around Toontown, communing with spirits, and dining with royalty. So come on Mononoke with us. We won't cross the yellow, blue, or red line. Tonight's theme is anime. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn, and with me, as always, Chris Worldmine Murphy. How you doing, Murphy?
Oh, not so bad, you know. Just got Totoro stuck in my head. Totoro.
Totoro, Totoro. You guys
I'll be
lucky I didn't have
interested
time to grab that clip. I was gonna play it like over and over again.
Best we got's the trailer.
Yeah.
And we have a guest tonight. My cousin, your cousin, everyone's cousin. Eamon Mader. How you doing, Eamon?
Yes. Hello.
Of Eamon on Track fame.
Yes.
And great show. Everyone check it out. All right. Well, you know, this is season 1, episode 15 of our show. And yes, it is on
already.
anime. This was Murphy's grand plot, grand scheme, diabolical machinations, if you will, to make me watch 4 anime movies in a row. Even though we only have 3 movies.
Wait, what's the fourth
on
one
our
you
show.
watched?
We had to end the last episode with the anime movie because that was part of Murphy's grand scheme.
The Wind Rises.
Good job, Murphy. Your plan worked perfectly.
Well, needless to say, we won't need to watch any more anime, at least for a few episodes.
Oh, that would be nice. But you know, there's some ups and downs here. Be interested. What are your opening thoughts, Eamon?
So I'm gonna be honest. I really liked 2 of these movies, and the other one I just thought was good.
Okay.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Very, very interesting. What about you, Murphy?
I mean, one of them's an all-time classic that stands out forever, in my opinion. Another one's a bona fide kids movie, and another one was, as Eamon so aptly put it, a film that was just pure cocaine, and
Yeah.
it was about as bland and as tasteless, if I had to describe it. But
See, I liked that aspect of it, but we'll get into that when we get to.
What up, Bubonic?
Oh yeah, we'll get into it. Well, you know, we have a regular segment on our show. You may or may not know this Eamon.
I do not.
Origin stories.
Okay.
So Eamon, what's with you and movies?
What's with me in movies? Honestly, I don't watch too many movies. I mainly go and watch like whatever I hear is good in the movie theater, and then occasionally I watch a classic. I'm not someone who usually sits down in the living room for a movie. I usually go to the movie theater for a movie, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You enjoy the movie-going experience.
Yes.
Fair enough. We'd like to preserve that movie-going experience for many generations to come, wouldn't we, Murphy?
I mean, I have always enjoyed the movie-going experience since I was a wee lad, and it's probably one of my favorite experiences, so I hope it perpetuates forever as long as we're existing.
Well, you know, it sounds, Eamon, like you should go back and perhaps catch up on this grand podcast we have here, because, you know, it'll give you a lot of good movies to choose from and others to avoid.
I'm sure.
If your dad says it's good, avoid it. Avoid it like the plague.
I was already doing that, but thanks for letting me know.
It's true. It's true. I love him, just not the movies he likes.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. So we have Theater 1 here. My Neighbor Totoro from 1988, starring Chika Sakamoto, Noriko Hidaka, and Hitoshi Takagi? I might butcher some of these Japanese pronunciations, and I apologize. How do you pronounce this director's name, Murphy?
Hideo Miyazaki. We've got 2 Ghibli films tonight.
We do.
The first of them. Yeah.
Yes, and we had one last episode as well.
Yep. We ended with a Ghibli film, and we're starting it off with 2 Ghibli films with My Neighbor Totoro.
All right. Totoro.
I just think this movie is.
Let's get the trailer.
Jump aboard. It's the good time fly high fantasy you've been looking for. It's a journey that will take you to heights you've always dreamed about. Hang on tight to My Neighbor Totoro. They're furry. They're cuddly. They're huge. And they're
Huge and
loud.
cuddly.
And most of all, they're lovable.
And there was a little one, and one this big, and a great big one.
But to
There's a
grown-ups,
great big one.
Beautiful
Totoro.
Weasley.
they're invisible.
The
It
cat
was fun
bus.
watching this film because it's like you can see the building blocks of basically all of Miyazaki's films.
Magical playground.
Miyazaki, all of Miyazaki's films and all of
And your neighbor
Ghibli's
is
films,
a
if we're being completely
magical
honest.
Totoro. It's the fantasy that's bigger than your imagination. You'll never
I don't
forget
know.
your
My
ride on a
imagination's
12-legged cat
pretty
bus.
big.
Was it an umbrella he took
I
with
mean,
him?
are you telling me you can honestly
It's
say you
the
thought of a cat
roller
bus?
coaster thrill of a lifetime. You'll laugh with
Cat bus
Totoro.
feels like it would be something straight out of Harry Potter.
Listen, I've been high, but I've never been cat bus
Best of
high.
all, you'll fly with Totoro.
You just aren't trying hard enough.
Time you were small, you dreamed of adventures this tall. Now, the new classic children's storybook flies to life on the screen.
This is the first Ghibli. I did not know that, actually.
Master
Oh,
animation director Hayao Miyazaki. An
Hayao.
animated adventure for children of all ages. My Neighbor Totoro.
yeah. I mean, this is the first.
Tokuma Show
No, this is
production
the
from
second Ghibli I
Disney's
watched.
Tacoma Films.
So I was actually originally going to nominate the first movie I watched, a Ghibli movie, which was Spirited Away. But that's a 2001 movie, so I couldn't. Because I was taking Davin's pre-2000 spot. But this one is also still really, really good. But I will say, I just think this movie makes me feel like a child. It makes me feel like a kid in all the best ways, even as an adult. Like my first time watching this was as an adult, and I totally felt that feeling of this childhood wonder and liveliness and excitability and adventure and highs and lows and everything in between, kind of.
Oh yeah, it's got that like pure childhood imagination behind it. You know, it's these kids that want to believe in forest spirits and chase and run around with them and fly through the air and all these wild little psychological adventures, which, you know, they don't quite say, oh, is it a dream? Is it what? Like, it's very blurred the lines, this film, when it comes to stuff like that. But, you know, it's a classic. It basically started a whole studio.
This movie of like strengths and weaknesses for me. Like, its strengths are, I mean, its visuals are nice, but not. Don't blow me away. Like the way the creatures in Totoro look, it's just a little basic and not particularly eye catching. It does have. I like that it has a positive ending, even because it is a kids movie. And it is kind of sad at times, and you're just like, yeah, this is kind of a weird, depressing kids movie, but it is actually kind of a happy ending. But the weaknesses of it, like I think the strength of it it's like more adult themes. Like I don't know. I feel like this doesn't know if it wants to be a kids movie or an adults movie.
That's
Because
interesting.
I don't think I could put a kid in front of this now, like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, and have them sit through it and enjoy it. I think they'd be pretty bored. Like the adventure and fantasy elements are probably like 5 minutes total. I think the first thing I said to Murphy was that movie could have been 5 minutes long.
This is 25 minutes long, but yeah.
25 minutes long? Yeah, like and I felt that watching it. There's a lot of just drawn out scenes, and I get it. They're just trying to like capture childhood, and it does that nicely. But as far as like a narrative in just a movie to sit through, I found it was pretty slow, and it didn't do a whole lot. Didn't say a whole lot. Its messaging as a whole at the end, which I don't think a kid will clue into, that like you know like like tragedy is mixed with joy and joy is mixed with tragedy and like that's life.
That's interesting
like,
because
the
I
kid's
think
not gonna
that
get that.
I think that this movie has a message for kids and adults, but it's also the kind of message that if you watched it as a kid and then watched it again as an adult, you would have a totally new layer of movie to understand.
I kind of agree with that because I remember watching the film when I was a bit younger, and it not a lot stood out, just like the more fantastical stuff, but the more nuanced, reality based of the whole film, it kind of glossed over me as a kid, and as a grown adult now, I kind of like could read those nuances a bit more, and it fleshed out the whole film. Watching it as a second time, so
Yeah.
I mean, I get the idea. Like it's kind of aimed towards being a kids film, but it's a deep kids film if it is a kids film at all. You know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it fails. It's not quite a kids film, and it's not quite a movie for adults. It's just stuck in the middle somewhere, and it left me just kind of like a bit bored.
Well, let's get into the plot a bit, shall we?
Yeah.
So, My Neighbor Totoro from 1988 tells a heartwarming story of the Kusakaba family from Setsuya Kusakaba, which is played by Dakota Fanning and Noriko Hidako, and her younger sister Mei, played by Ellie Fanning and Chika Sakamoto. They move to a rural village with their father Tatsuo, who's played by Tim Daly, or Shigatsato Ito.
Shigesato Itoi, the creator of the Mother games. I'm sure most people know that, if you know that, but yeah. Anyways.
And Mother Yasuko, which is played by Lia Salonga and Sumi Shimamoto. To be closer to the hospital where their mother is receiving. That's basically the family's moved closer to be with their family. And when they get to their new location, we're introduced to Davan's scene that holds up the most here.
What a lot of neat old junk! You think it's haunted? Maybe it is! Oh, boy! Come on, I bet I can make you around the house! Hey, wait a minute! It's completely rotten. Uh-oh, it's gonna fall down.
This bit got me. I can't believe they put that in the movie.
Wow, May, look up. What? Up there, look.
Mountain.
Wow, what a tree. It's giant.
Well, that wasn't the scene I meant, but that's fine.
Well, you said the one they were running around. Is that not the one where they were running
No,
around?
there's like a scene, probably like the very next scene where like the father's doing something in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, very similar
That
scene.
little girl's just running back and forth in the backyard behind him, and he's just like ignoring it all, but she's just like losing her mind.
That's
And
the most.
pretty
That's the
funny.
most. That's your future, by the way, Davin. When your kid grows up, that's gonna be your existence.
She does that now. That's her right now. That's why I picked that scene. So
Yeah.
not the right scene, but that one was fine.
All right. Well, this is why I encourage you to give me time codes with your scenes instead of just a very vague description.
You're lucky I
otherwise-
watched these 3 movies. I couldn't go back again for time codes.
Well, just if you think you see a scene, just pause it and check what the time is. That gives me a better idea. Anyway,
You didn't though. I was expecting like better scenes the entire time. That doesn't happen.
As Sasuke and Mei settle in their new home, they encounter a mischievous acorn-loving creature known as a soot sprite. These small black and fuzzy spirits playfully interact with the girls and add to the magical atmosphere of their new surroundings. In their exploration of the countryside, Satsuki and Mei come across a colossal camphor tree that serves as a gateway to the realm inhabited by Totoro and other extraordinary creatures.
The mother probably has tuberculosis.
Well, okay, so there was talk about that. So like, it's hinted that she has tuberculosis because Miyazaki's actual mother had tuberculosis.
And if it's the time frame, like, so people got back in those days.
Yeah, and basically because of that, he wrote the story. It's basically like a small biography of his own life, but he didn't write it so it'd be two boys, because like him and his younger brother, he wrote it as girls. He said it would be too close if it was, the other way around. But yeah, so the girls, they where was I? Right.
It's even hard to kind of explain the plot of this movie. I really think you just got to watch it, because it sounds so much, I think it sounds so much boring than it actually is.
So yeah,
Totoro. A lot happens. That's why, like, it doesn't. The description doesn't work well because not a lot happens. It's like the girls run off. They grow some corn. They get Totoro gets them a cat bus because the little girl runs away.
This is my favorite scene, basically, in the film.
Plot.
Yeah, of course, this is an iconic scene.
Just fucking Totoro playing with an umbrella in water. I just liked his little face. I thought it was adorable.
He is adorable.
So basically, the girls spend time with Totoro and his friends, and they learn to appreciate nature's wonders and develop a deep bond with the forest. Totoro becomes a symbol of joy and imagination and the spirit of nature. The sisters encounter with Totoro and the other magical beings, help them cope with the challenges the family faces, especially their mother's illness. So yeah, you just get like this very fantastical scene between, the kids and Totoro, and then the cat bus shows up, and it's like they're waiting in the rain by themselves, and it's not like, is this a dream sequence? Are they alive? Who can really tell, right?
I love
Jody Simpson. Davan is an anime Karen.
I don't even know what that means. But
I don't either, but I think he's right. Jody says Totoro is a beautiful movie.
It is a beautiful movie.
Like, maybe it is. It's just boring, and it kind of lost me at the cat bus scene, to be honest.
I can't believe this.
Like, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening.
You gotta go back.
Like,
the Totoro. What Totoro has
a little lost in
umbrella.
translation.
That's one of the most iconic shots of all time in the anime industry, because of how awesome. I just love that picture. It's
That's
like
why
it's fine art. I could hang that as a painting. People do. People have made.
Yeah, many people have this very image as a painting on their wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I watch these animes and I don't know what's happening, and I don't know, like, I don't know. There's something.
It's really odd that you don't know what's happening in this film, because this film and the next film are probably
this one I do. This one's very simple.
The last one, definitely, it's like, what's going on? But anyway. So yeah, the kids get these acorns from Totoro, and they go to planet.
It just isn't very adventurous, like any movie that would have been made like this that I ever saw. There would have been way more adventure with this fantastical being, rather than like just a couple of quick scenes, really. It was just very low on adventure and fantasy, and like very high on just kind of real life stuff that I don't think will entertain a child very much.
Well, I mean, the adventure fantasy of a flying squirrel rabbit creature, like, I don't know. It's there is adventure and fantasy.
There's a couple of scenes, there's just not very many. There's like that one, and there's like the cat bus.
It's a shorter movie for certain, but honestly, I like that. I liked this in Redline. I'll spoil. I liked that these were lighter movies. I've always been a fan of lighter movies personally.
Oh yeah, I like shorter movies too.
Eventually, the girls find out that their mother's getting sick, so she runs to the phone to call her father. He rushes to the hospital, and in this bit, May's curiosity leads her on an adventure to find her mother, who she believes is residing in the hospital nearby. Determined to see her, May embarks on a journey alone, but ends up getting lost. Distraught and scared, she encounters the mysterious cat bus. The cat bus helps May find her way and reunites her with her family. Uh, which at this point we basically got to Eamon's like favorite scene where the cat bus kind of reunites the whole family.
There you are! Satsuki! Oh, May!
See, normally this would have been the first act of this entire movie.
Tell
Like
me
they
one
get to a
thing,
farm,
were you
the girl
bringing that
misses
car
her
to the
mother,
hospital?
runs away to try to find her, and that would be the beginning of the movie, not the end.
Next stop, Shichikokoyama Hospital.
You mean we can go to Mom's hospital? You're wonderful!
All I could think about is how soft the inside of that cat bus is.
I see what cats
It was
eat
all because
and
of my silly cold that the
otherwise
hospital sent you that
ingest, and
telegram.
I wouldn't want to be on the
grief
inside
it
of a
must have
cat.
caused all of you.
So yeah, basically they kind of see the father and the mother are okay. May leaves the corn that she has for the mother. They somehow get the corn and it's written for mom or whatever it was on the corn, right? They get all that. It's like this is the point where it's like, are they dreaming? Are they not dreaming? They're able to like manipulate things in the real world, yet they're back
That
at
was
home.
my problem with
flying
the
and
last
stuff.
anime movie too. I could never tell when it was dreaming.
Oh
and when
no,
it
there was a
real
clear
life.
distinction between dreams and real life in The Wind Rises. This one was very blurred. But yeah, so the film touches on themes of folklore and spiritual connections between humans and nature. May's encounter with the spirits and Totoro's world blurs the line between reality and fantasy, emphasizing on the importance of imagination and the unseen wonders of the natural world. Meanwhile, Suzuki juggles her responsibilities as the older sister and tries to support May during their mother's absence. Together, they navigate the challenges of growing up and face the fears and find solace and comfort of the friendship and magical encounters.
If you're gonna read that stuff, just read it, Murphy. If you just whip through it like that, I can't even hear what you're saying. Just take the extra 20 seconds and say it.
Anyway, so yeah, My Neighbor Totoro. That's basically. I think this is our fastest like plot summary ever. Like we got that done in 10 minutes.
Because the movie could have been 10 or 15 minutes. Like I said, this whole movie was the first act of any kids movie I ever saw. Like there would have been, but I don't know if it doesn't know what it's trying to be. I don't think it just. We can't hear you, Eamon. Yeah, we
Eamon,
lost
you've
Eamon.
gone silent, mate.
Yes, you're silent, Eamon.
Well,
Yeah, I can see him. He's feverishly disagreeing with everything I'm saying, but we can't hear him do it. Let's just assume Eamon. Oh, wait, no, I can tell he's agreeing with everything I'm saying. Eamon, if you're agreeing with everything I'm saying, say absolutely nothing. Oh, he's gone. I insulted him.
He's just like, I'm done.
So,
I'm out of here.
No, but like, don't you agree with me, Murphy? Like, this is the first act of any kids movie like that we grew up with.
Yeah, for the most part, it is.
She would run away, and then the adventures would ensue. Like, just nothing. Now we still can't hear you. He's not just muted on the thing, is he?
No, he's not muted. He's
not muted.
Well,
you figure it out, Eamon.
You're right. It's basically the first act. There's a good like 30, 40 minutes of this film where it's just like,
there's like a lot of like scenery that they show, and the kids
really
just
good
kind of
like
running
paintings
around.
and stuff.
Yeah, it just this one didn't wow me.
There's not a lot to
as
it.
a kids movie or an adult movie, it didn't wow me.
I mean,
the way it's
out of all the animes, Totoro is a classic. Out of the world of animes, Totoro is a bona fide classic, mostly because of its impact on American culture. That's how it became quote unquote a classic. Is it one of the best like old school animes? I don't personally think so. I think it's a soft pitch movie. I personally would have picked fucking Akira or something. That's like the greatest anime. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's Totoro. Like it's a kids film. There's just not much to it. There's not a lot of substance, but it's
Like as a kid's film, not a lot to draw in a kid. Like it takes a long time to get to that cat bus, and that's when the kids are gonna start paying attention.
I feel like the kids would pay attention to the initial introduction of Totoro, but there's a big gap between that initial introduction and the cat bus eventually.
But even that, like, is kind of boring because he's just lying there asleep and he doesn't say anything. Like, mm, I
As
find
Bubonic said, I think you'd appreciate this movie watching it as a kid than the nostalgia of watching it as an adult. It's like, yeah,
it could be, but I think as a kid I would have been bored and not went back to this one. I would have watched Ninja Turtles again
entirely
instead.
possible.
Yeah,
So, I'm just
but
gonna
well,
tuck
Eamon
Eamon
says
away
his
until he
internet
eventually comes
sometime
back.
doesn't exist. But
Yeah.
which performance would you hold up, Murphy?
Which performance would I hold up? Are you back, Eamon? Not yet. All right. My performance that I would hold up for Totoro, I guess it would have to be Satsuki, like the main young kid, female character, like the main
The
protagonist.
youngest girl. Yeah.
Not the youngest, not May, like the
Oh,
older
oh.
youngest, the older daughter of the film. Like she has the most pull and energy, I guess, in the film. Like maybe the dust sprites. I'll pick a dust sprite. The dust sprites were the performance that held up for me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What's up, Sam?
for me, I might say May.
May?
Screams a little too much for my taste. I'd be like, settle down, honey. You're with my daughter. uh, but other than that, I would say whoever sings Totoro, Totoro, her performance holds up for me. Because that's been stuck in my head since like you first showed me this trailer.
It's true. It's true. I was half tempted to take the intro and just replace the music with the Totoro, Totoro, just
think
for
you
this one
should've.
episode. I would have, but if I had an extra like hour or two, maybe. It's a lot
Well,
of
the
work putting this thing
setting and
together.
aesthetic.
Beautiful. Like the setting and the aesthetic is just beautiful. It's very 80s. You can even tell by the style of clothing that everyone's drawing in, like being drawn in. Like the dad's very
it
like
takes place
wide
in the
pants and
50s.
stuff. Is it the 50s?
It's the 50s. Yeah, it's post-war.
Oh.
Or
I
else
didn't-
tuberculosis wouldn't be an issue. Not in the 80s.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I didn't really get a time frame or reference of time
Yeah.
frame when this was.
Yeah.
I just kind of was like,
It's
yeah,
the
those
fi-
pants are very.
It's definitely the 50s.
All right, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful. Gorgeous backgrounds.
Yep. Very lovely countryside. Yeah, I liked the kind of background painting and artwork a bit more than the foreground stuff. Because, like I say, the Totoro design kind of bores me. I don't find him like adorable or cute or anything. It's just a circle with the two eyes and a mouth. Like it's something a kid would draw, which I think is the point. It's
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
look like a kid's drawing because it's a kid's imagination, and I think that's clever. But it's just not an intriguing character design.
Yeah, I think it was. They went through a few iterations to become approachable, if you will. Ultimately,
Well, they probably wanted something to be kids could draw as well.
yeah.
So, what's up, Eamon? You're back? Oh my, Eamon's volume's really. Hey man, have you tried turning it on and off? What does they
Did
say
you
on
plug
that
it in?
IT?
Did you turn it on and off if you plugged it in?
Yeah, plugged it in. Turn it on and off. Well, yeah. So the setting very good. Eamon, you can just text us your answers to all these questions.
Give us a thumbs up if you like the setting and aesthetic.
You like the setting and aesthetic, Eamon? Yeah. Well, he likes the setting and aesthetic. Yeah. All right, let's get to some delicious morsels because I'm a tad peckish myself.
Okay, well. So, movie morsels for the film My Neighbor Totoro from 1988. I'm going to be honest with you. Today's episode is not going to be a lot of movie morsels. This is probably going to have the most out of any of them, but we'll get through these real quick. The film is partially autobiographical. When Hayao Miyazaki and his brothers were children, his mother suffered from spinal tuberculosis for 9 years and spent much of her time hospitalized. It is implied, yet never revealed in the film, that Satsuki Amei's mother also suffers from tuberculosis. He once said the film would have been too painful for him to make if the two protagonists were boys instead of girls. The forest creatures and title characters
and
of
as
this
a fellow
movie...
about to have two daughters, I liked the fact that it was two girls. This movie did hit a little close to home with like the little girls. But
I did not know that the second one was to be a girl. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, she's gonna be here in a month or two.
The forest creatures and the title characters of this movie got their name when Mei, the little girl who first sees them in the film, mispronounces the word troll. At one point in the original Japanese language version, when Satsuki first finds Mei sleeping in the grove behind their house, Mei tells her sister she saw a Totoro. Satsuki replies, "Totoro, do you mean troll? From the storybook?" And Mei nods in agreement. This aspect of the story was left out of the 1993 Fox English version, probably because of the difference between Tororu, the Japanese pronunciation of troll, and Totoro, would have been lost on English-speaking audiences. The quote is included in the 2006 Disney English version, though.
And that being said, I think there's a few things. Like I always seem to not enjoy animes as much as everybody else and as much as I'm supposed to. And I think there are some times where like the jokes aren't coming through on the dub or the subtitles or like...
Yes, because you know what? On Redline, I tried to watch the dubs and I couldn't do it. It was too distracting between the art and the words, so I just went for the subs version I tried to watch subs and then I couldn't do that because it was too distracting, so I went for the dubs version. It was far more easier to watch, but the dialogue was vastly different because I was still getting subtitles for the Japanese version and the lines were like kind of close but not exactly. So it's a lot gets lost in translation, which is generally why people are like watch subs over dubs, because you're getting the full context as opposed to a dub, which is just like anglicized, speech.
See, that was the opposite with what I had with Redline. So for Redline, I was watching a dubbed version, but I still had the English subtitles on beneath it. So in the dub, they clearly just kind of went with it a bit and maybe didn't go exactly word for word, and they just kind of made it more colloquial English. Whereas, so it didn't match the subtitles below. The subtitles below was just all very matter of fact what they say, like summarized versions of what the actors were actually saying. So it's just is that what I'm always getting with subs? Like,
they kept like touching on like the talent or something like that. We kept saying the talent in the subs, but they would never say that in the English version. But again, we're diverting. So, final movie morsels for this one. The movie initially did not do well at the box office, and it did not break even until about 2 years after the release, when the stuffed dolls based on the King Totoro character hit the shelves. Merchandising, baby.
Tickle Me Totoro, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. It was Jeff Hand's Tickle Me Totoro season, and they got big plushy Totoros, and the kids were all about them. And like, there's a store down on Bloor that like has them in window displays. My Neighbor Totoro was released as a double feature alongside Isao Takahata's film Grave of the Fireflies. The contrasting themes and tones of the two films created a unique cinematic experience for audience. I don't know this film, and I'm going to look it up at some point.
I actually did some research on that, so I can tell you. So The Grave of the Fireflies is a World War II movie, and super depressing. I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailer.
So they had a World War II film in conjunction released with a child's spirit film.
Yes, and theaters were allowed to play them in whichever order they wanted. Now,
Wild.
chronologically, it should have gone Grave of the Fireflies because it's a World War II, and Totoro was post-war. And then it ends on a happier note, but I believe most theaters went the other way around. And people are all just like, ha ha ha, Totoro! Oh my god, at the end! Like, and then,
It's like
left
Watership
depressed.
Down all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
The film's success led to the creation of the iconic Totoro bus stop in the Aichi Prefecture of Japan. The bus stop, designed to resemble the one in the film, has become a popular tourist attraction for fans of the movie. And the final movie morsel, the sequence where Mei gets lost attempting to deliver an ear of corn to her mother includes her sitting by a row of statues in Japan. Such statues represent the Bodhisattva Jizo, the Buddhist deity who is the protector of children. Thus, the effect...
Bodhisattva?
That might have been it. Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So the effect Hayao Miyazaki is conveying is a subtle reassurance to the audience that Mei, although lost at the moment, is otherwise in no immediate danger while her sister is coming to her aid in the cat bus. Cinematography by Hisao Shirai, edited by Takeshi Seomo, music by Joe Hisashi, release date April 16th, 1988, running time 86 minutes, budget of $3.7 million, roughly 500 million yen, and a box office of $41 million. I guess we lost Eamon.
Eamon, if you're there, pop back in so you can give us a thumbs up for your hold up vote. Anyway.
Yeah, he's not here at all. I don't know.
No. All right, so rewatchability. What about you, Murphy? You, as someone who has rewatched it.
Oh man, if I rewatch this again, it's probably not going to be for like another 10 years, and if I have a child with that child, otherwise I probably don't think I'd rewatch this film again. Like I can't see.
I don't think
going.
I don't think I'll show this one to my daughters. I mean, and if I do, it would just be to see if it bores them.
Yeah.
But it's not that I think it's bad. I just think it's like I think, but you might have said it best actually. It's just a bit of a softball.
Yeah. It's a
First
softball
movie,
kids
kind
film.
of bit of a softball. Yeah. Murphy, and like what? I think what did Jody say here? Which I thought was interesting. Oh yeah. Roger Ebert said, "It is a little sad, a little scary, a little surprising, and a little informative, just like life itself." And I think that sums it up, Jody says. Well, Jody, I think all those things are probably all true, but as a movie, it was just kind of boring. A bit of a softball. And I don't know. I didn't get the scary.
I mean, there was
like the thought of losing your mother, like losing the family member, like that's.
I suppose the scary part is like when May's off running by herself and they can't find her.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. That kind of stuff, I guess.
That's probably really the only little bit of scary, a little bit indeed.
Well, all right. The big question. Yeah, we got to get Eamon's vote at some point, but does it hold up, Murphy?
Yeah, it does hold up actually. Like, even though it's not a film of substance, as a piece of art in and of itself, it holds up, and I enjoyed watching the film. Like, so it holds up.
I'm actually going to the almost complete opposite of that. I think it is a film of substance, somewhat, though simple.
Simple substance, yeah. I
But I don't think it does. I don't think it'll hold up. If it's a kids movie, I don't think a modern kid is going to enjoy this movie. And I didn't really. Just a few scenes that with the little girl made me smile, but other than that, and I like that it had a happy ending. So, but I'm going to give this one a no. No.
If you didn't watch the movie, Sam, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here, Sam? What are you doing here? Eamon. Where you at? Does it
We've
hold up? I
lost
think
him.
Eamon will say it does hold up.
I
He
think
was.
I
He,
think
I think.
Eamon's choice is that it holds up. He was saying this is one of his
Yeah.
enjoyable movies out of the three. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Eamon, we're going with hold up for you. So I'm the dissenter. That makes it a B plus. Not bad. Not bad.
not bad
Which I
indeed.
think probably where it should be. It's not entertaining enough to be an A.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree.
Hashtag where's Eamon?
Yeah, where's Eamon?
Um, all right, well, that's good. Let's move on to Theater 2.
Let's
Princess
do it.
Mononoke from 1997, starring Yoji Matsuda, Yuriko Ishida, and Yuko Tanaka, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Yet again, we are giving this guy lots of play on the show. 3 movies in a row.
It's the hat trick, the
But
Miyazaki hat trick.
the Miyazaki hat trick. You know, it's interesting though, this Miyazaki character. I feel a certain kinship with him because I feel like we have a similar dichotomy in our brains where he seems to be obsessed with nature, yet also technological progress. And that's sort of what I struggle with, where I'm sort of obsessed with, of course, nature and biodiversity and also Star Trek. So I'm sort of in that weird Miyazaki place myself.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Princess Mononoke. I think this is the first actual anime film I can remember watching. As far as anime goes, in my history of it, it's like my mom was big into it, and she still is to this day. Like my mom's a big anime fan, so like I would watch, like Sailor Moon with her, Dragon Ball Z. She'd watch that one with me. We got into like Geiger and stuff like this. And then yeah, she came home with Princess Mononoke one time, and it was like the first anime feature film. And I saw it. I was like amazed, kind of, terrified by some of the scenes that I saw, but like I didn't really take the film in. But I did remember enjoying it. So rewatching it the second time, um, man, I just really got to enjoy that film. Like it from the beginning to the end.
Funny you say about the second time because I had to watch this movie twice because I watched it once and it had what I call the anime effect on me, where I was just like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "What did I just spend an hour and a half on?" Just like anime just always seems to come at me like a bunch of scenes. I never care about any of the characters. I'm just like, "What was that?" And so, but I'm like, I got the environmental message, so I'm like, I realized there was imagery and stuff that I wasn't getting, so I did a little research on like Japanese folklore and such, and then I watched the movie again, and it made a lot more sense the second time I watched it, and the analogies are good, but there's a lot. It is actually a pretty deep movie. There's a lot going on. But like, it's easily to get confused because all of a sudden there's little like woodland little ghost spirits wandering around, and you're like, now what the shit was that? And they don't explain anything, which is why like the
Well,
research I
they
did and then the rewatch helped. I'm like you don't really get told what anything is.
no,
Uh,
they do a pretty good explanation of like explaining
uh,
the what were they called again, the Kokoros or something like that. I think it was
Totoros,
something like
Kokoros,
that.
Kokoros, Kokoros.
Oh, what were they called? Man, that's gonna bug me. Anyway, yeah, they were like it was like K something. Oh, Kodamas. That's right. They were called Kodamas. They called them Kodamas. They were like little forest spirits that
Little tree
indicated that the
spirits, yeah,
forest, yeah, like tree spirits that indicated like the forest was safe
yeah.
and perfectly fine. Um, they I feel like they had enough exposition when they came to explling certain
It was fine on
fantastical
second
elements.
rewatch. It's a
Yeah,
good thing I rewatched it because if I'd only watched this movie once, I probably would have been trashing it. But I
yeah.
didn't. I watched it twice, and it's not bad.
See, I'm glad you did watch it twice because I feel like out of all of these animes, this is the one you probably would have enjoyed the most, just because of the environmental themes about it and how it's
I I find that the environmental themes get a little bit lost. in this.
Oh yeah, there's a
I
lot
mean,
of shades of gray in this movie. Like a
because there's
lot of
just a
shades of
lot.
gray.
It's just that there's a lot going on. I don't mind shades of gray. I mean, it's a hell of a like. This is like what friggin' James Cameron wishes he made with Avatar. Like,
Yes.
it's the same
Yes.
themes, but this actually has deep explorations of those themes and more mythical imagery and things like that, and historical imagery and stuff. So it's more fascinating. It's not just like dreadful and boring like Avatar and derivative. It doesn't feel so derivative, even though it is a common theme. It's that you know tech, technology and progress bumping heads with nature, and usually somebody caught in the middle. That theme. It's been done again and again. I for me, like on the scale of movies with this theme, there's like Avatar at the bottom. Then there's probably this. This is a good movie, and then slightly above that you have Medicine Man. But like they're all like the same movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they all have that sort of theme.
Like
of,
this is just way more confusing Medicine Man. And instead of a guy searching for a cure for cancer in the jungle, it's a guy searching for a cure for his own illness that
His own
he's
demon.
succumbed to. Yeah, woo
Well,
or whatever. It's basically just Medicine Man.
I
Like
don't
the main
entirely
character's
disagree with
tribe.
that statement, but
No, because it's the same movie, but Medicine Man's and this is a good version of that theme too. Like Medicine Man and this movie might be the two best movies with that theme that I've seen. Well, Dances with Wolves is good too, and Fern Gully. Never mind, those four.
yes, it's
Not Avatar.
I don't know. There's a few things. Let's just catch up on this trailer. Let's get
All right.
rolling. Yeah.
From
Shit.
Whoa, what's going on there, Murphy?
Don't know what happened there. I meant to hit the audio. Sorry.
From
wasn't
master
me.
animator
It was
Miyazaki, the visionary
Totoro.
that crosses all cultures,
Soot sprites.
and one of the most influential
Yeah.
filmmakers of all time, comes a simply breathtaking motion picture event. Princess Mononoke, one of the year's best films. Featuring the voices of Gillian Anderson, Billy Crudup, Claire Danes, Minnie Driver, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Billy Bob Thornton.
Hearing that Billy Bob
In
Thornton's
a
voice
time
come out of that
when
guy is
gods
funny.
walk the earth, an epic battle rages between man and the gods of the forest. Now, the fate of the world rests on the courage of one fearless princess
I'm not afraid to die, and I would do anything to get the humans out of here.
and one brave warrior.
What exactly are you here for?
To see with eyes unclouded by hate.
Yeah, I just watched the sub version of this one, so I didn't even hear Billy Bob.
Yeah, I too watched the sub version of this one, right? But I pulled out the dubs because we got clips to show, right? And yeah, hearing Billy Bob Thornton's voice was kind of hilarious.
That would have been weird. Maybe that would
You
have
cannot
been
alter
enjoyable.
your
I don't
fate.
know.
However, you can rise to meet it if you choose.
The funny thing was the film starts off with
Princess
Goliath's
Mononoke.
voice narrating the opening.
Like, yeah, they're gonna attack us with a forest monster. Billy Bob Thornton.
Man.
That's weird. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
it's super weird. Yeah.
The scene that like just made me like hurl back though is when she's just like chewing the meat and baby bird feeding him like the chewed up meat. I'm like, that's all he's gonna do is choke to death. You're not helping this guy. Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my god.
It's a CPR trope, but with baby bird feeding meat.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you give us the old Plotsky?
Yeah, so Princess Mononoke, 1997. Princess Mononoke is an epic and visually stunning animated film that tells the story of a young prince caught in a battle between humans and the forces of nature. Set in the Muromachi period of Japan, the film explores themes of environmentalism, humanity's relationship with nature, and the complexities of war. The film follows the journey of Ashitaki, played by Yoji Matsuda, a courageous, and in the English version, Billy Crudup, a courageous and compassionate prince from the Emishi tribe. After saving his village from a rampaging demon, Ashitaki becomes cursed by its deadly touch. Seeking a cure and answers, he sets out on a quest to find the source of the curse and understand the conflicts
Murphy.
plaguing the land.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Eamon, if you're still listening, give her another shot. Hey, Jody, if Eamon doesn't show up, feel free to join
Jody,
us.
come on in. I'll actually, you know what, Jody, if you're
Since
still
you've
here,
seen all 3 of these movies, yeah, Jody, come on.
Did he see? Has he seen Redline? That'd be amazing.
He
if
says
he's
they're
actually
all
seen Redline.
good, so he must have saw them all.
Yeah, Eamon is officially bowed out. His internet is not working. He's said there's no point, and he's not going to be able to come back. So Jody, if you want to step in, doors open.
Sucks, Eamon. We'll get you on another one. Well, you're already booked for like the mobster one, so you'll be back.
Yeah, we'll get him back. In the war-torn land, Ashitaki's journey leads him deeper into conflict between humans and the mystical creatures of the forest, where he comes across, in his journeys looking for his cure, he comes across a group of samurai attacking a town. And this is actually my favorite clip of the movie. This is the movie where I kind of forgot this scene was in it, and I was like, whoa, that was awesome.
Is this the boar attack?
No, this is like the scene where he's getting shot at and chased. And then he pulls out the bow and arrow and just wrecks guys.
You stop!
My arm!
Yeah, that scene, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
When he takes the guy's arms off.
Let me pass! I'm warning you!
Clap.
This guy's just brutal with a bow. I'll admit the movie got my attention with this scene.
A demon. Yeah, no, that scene was like, it woke me up. I was like, oh man, I forgot about this whole scene. This scene was badass. Yeah, the only thing that bugs me about that scene is his arm is cursed. He's holding the bow with his arm and he's drawing with his other arm. How does that power translate? Would it not be like this? This one's got all the power that's releasing. Like, it's not like it doesn't. The physics of it didn't quite make sense to me. I feel like if his hand positioning was different, then the force the bow was going would make more sense. But because he's holding
there's
the
a fair bit
bow,
of physics in this movie that doesn't make sense.
You know what? That's fair. That's absolutely fair. So yeah, that was my favorite scene. Absolutely just won me over. We find Ashitaki. He's about to get some food from a lady, like a bag of rice or something. He wants to give her a gold nugget, and she's like, I want money. The character is Billy Bob Thornton's character. I didn't get the name of this guy, but yeah.
Billy Bob's good enough.
Ashitaka's journey takes him to the industrialized Iron Town, led by the determined Lady Iboshi, played by Minnie Driver and Yurika Ishida. He learns that Lady Iboshi, the leader of Iron Town, is determined to exploit the resources of the forest, including killing the forest gods, to advance her town's technological progress and defend it from rival factions. However, Ashitaki also discovers that the forest is not without its own protectors. Princess Mononoke, also known as San, played by Claire Danes or Yuriko Ishida, is a fierce and independent young woman raised by the wolf goddess Moro, played by Gillian Anderson, or Akihiro Miwa, which is a male actor.
Kidnapped by the wolf goddess Moro, but yes, continue.
Kidnapped/adopted, we'll say. She's determined to defend the forest and its inhabitants from humans' destruction. San has a deep hatred for humans due to the harm they've caused to the natural world.
We have that in common.
Yeah. This is actually where we would get to Eamon's clip. Is this one? This is his favorite clip. Was when San attacks Irontown.
The wolves are coming! It's the wolf princess!
that Iron Town.
The kid can move. I'll give her that.
Mm-hmm. I like this scene as well. This kid's just kicking the shit out of Iron Town.
Right.
But again, that's the contradiction of Miyazaki and myself. Without Iron Town, there's no Starship Enterprise.
It's true. It's true.
Trouble.
So, yeah. Ashitaki eventually, decides to intercept San as there was a really good fight scene between San and Lady Eboshi, which I was all for. They were going at it, and then Ashitaki kind of stops them, and he's like, I'm walking out of this place, and he uses his strength to push open the giant wooden door, and they're like, he's gonna die. It's like, it's impossible. Man, that whole scene was just a lot of fun. As the conflict escalates, Ashitaki finds himself torn between his loyalty to his people and his growing admiration for San's passionate defense of nature. He tries to act as a mediator between the warring parties, seeking a peaceful resolution that will preserve both human and animal lives. In his quest for a cure to his curse and a path towards peace, Ashitaki encounters various mythical creatures such as Kodama, small forest spirits, and the enigmatic deer god. He learns about the delicate balance of nature and the consequences of disrupting it. In the climactic final battle, the forces of Irontown, I'm going to be doing a bit of skipping here, but yeah. The forces of Irontown clash with the Guardians of the Forest, led by San and Moro. The conflict reaches its tipping point as the forest gods and the wrath of nature are unleashed upon the humans after Lady Eboshi shoots the head off the deer god, turning it into the Night Walker. It chases after its head, killing all life in its wake. Eventually, San and Ashitaki retrieve and return the deer god's head, where it becomes whole before falling on Irontown and blessing the land and all those who survived. Which, we get to your favorite scene of the film, I believe. Hopefully I got it right this time.
Last scene?
Yeah.
Even if all the trees return, it won't be his forest anymore. The great forest spirit is dead now.
Never. He's life itself. He's not dead, son. He's here right now, trying to tell us something. That it's time for both of us to live.
Yeah. And it's
I
time
would
for
have
both
cut
of
that
them to
off
live.
halfway through though. That was different in the dub.
That was different. That's
And
the
then
difference
the
between
sub
dub and sub. The sub, he's like, there's no longer the deer god's forest, but in the English
Yeah,
dub, they're like, it's no longer his forest or whatever. And it doesn't have the same punch. There's certain lines that they need to deliver.
They're like, don't worry, the forest will grow back. And he's just like, yeah, but it won't be the deer god's forest. And the reason I like that line is because, again, that's the whole, the medicine man thing, the whole biodiversity crisis is just like, as soon as you disturb the web, the forest and the nature may grow back, but it won't be the same. Some things will be missing. It'll be a puzzle with missing pieces. And other things will grow in to take those pieces, but it's a loss. It's a loss. It's the purity of that forest is gone.
Yeah, it's just never going to be quite the same again. Yeah, no, and that's basically Mononoke ends with a new forest, new lands, and everyone's
again. This is Medicine Man, and they both end sad. They both end with the forest on fire, and them being like, "Yep, well." Maybe those ants are out there somewhere.
Who knows?
Yeah, man. You're starting to like Medicine Man more now, aren't you? Now that we're talking about these comparisons. You can go back and we can make Medicine Man an A movie, Murphy. Think about it. Maybe you need to watch it a second time. I watched Mononoke twice. Maybe you need to watch Medicine Man twice. It's only fair, I think.
Well,
we are all about fairness here, aren't we, upholders? Yes.
Upholders.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling them. But yeah, all right. Well, let's talk about the plot storytelling. I mean, it was dense. It was dense, and that's why I needed to watch the second time. I needed to understand Japanese folklore and mythology a little better, because I think again those are things that you would just pick up immediately if you were a Japanese watcher of this. I would assume it's just like so it's just easier.
I mean,
to
I don't know.
digest.
I don't know that much about Japanese folklore, but like I was able to basically follow it. I mean, like one name rose by any other name is still a rose. Like.
Yeah, so, but to me, it was just well, a lot of mythical beings. And like, so there's like a wolf god, and there's tree spirits, and there's a deer god, and there's just like it's a lot of different. And there's a pig with worms all over it, and there's a lot.
Well, the pig with worms all over it. The pig with worms all over it was like a dead pig, and those are the evil spirits that have like taken over its body. So
No, it wasn't a dead pig. It was an angry pig.
Well,
it was a pig
was
that
technically
got poisoned by a bullet, and so it became consumed with hatred and fear, and that's what the worms represented.
Yes, but
I understand.
They mentioned that it was dead sometimes. Like they did mention that it was dead sometimes. Like it had died and became like the evil spirit pig that caused all the chaos and stuff like that.
Right. But it's good. It's good storytelling. It's a better version of Avatar for sure.
Yeah, it's the best version of Avatar.
There with Medicine Man in Fern Gully.
Fuck.
We'll get Fern Gully into the show at some point too. Yeah. It tells a good story, and it mixes mythology with original ideas, so it doesn't lean too heavily on the mythology and become trapped by that or anything like that. Apparently, it takes a lot from a manga called Mudmen.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot from it.
Interesting.
Which performance would you hold up?
I want to say San, but I also liked the character that Billy Bob Thornton's plays, the little old priest man. I enjoyed his like antics and his like smarter than everybody else, getting shit done kind of attitude, and the way he was able to just like run on 2 pieces of fucking wood. Like his shoes were they made no sense, but he was just like nimble as fuck with them. So yeah, probably those 2 characters for me, but probably the old man more so than San.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pretty much agree with your assessment there. Like I didn't care about the main character really at all.
I also did like Lady Emoji a lot too.
The dude who's like searching for the cure, did not care about him.
He's the weakest, even though he's like the main protagonist, he's the weakest of all the characters. But that's kind of like the protagonist role in most films. It's just like you're there to give the other characters like reason to interact and shit, right? So
I think it's supposed to be the other way around. The other characters are supposed to enhance and move along the main protagonist's journey. But I don't know. I think that's where it failed a little.
Yeah.
Like, setting aesthetic, very beautiful.
Gorgeous. It's just the most beautiful film. Like, compared to the next film, it's like...
In the previous one, it looks way better than Totoro. And Totoro looks good, but...
Like time advancement does that film well, and it just...
10 years.
So gorgeous. So gorgeous. Every frame.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, well, let's get into some movie morsels.
Alrighty, movie morsels for Princess Mononoke
Feed
from
me,
1997. Feed you, I'll feed you. So for the movie morsels for Princess Mononoke 1997, when Harvey Weinstein obtained the North American distribution rights to Princess Mononoke, he approached director Hayao Miyazaki and insisted on a shorter version of the film that would be better attuned to American audiences. However, Miyazaki was still so upset by the heavily cut version of his Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind from 1984, released as Warriors of the Wind, that he angrily left the meeting, Several days later, Studio Ghibli producer Toshio Suzuki sent a katana sword to Weinstein's office with no cuts embedded into the blade. The film was later released in the USA in its uncut version. When asked about the incident in an interview, Miyazaki simply smiled and stated, "I defeated him."
Good.
Yep.
Probably should have really just went at him with the sword.
Yeah, just gutted him.
Yeah,
Director Hayao Miyazaki personally corrected or redrew more than 80,000 of the film's 144,000 animation cells. That's a lot of hand-drawn. This is the last major animated motion picture to be filmed on plastic animation cells. Produced for about 2.35 billion Japanese yen, approximately 23.5 million. It was the most expensive anime ever made at the time of its release. Mononoke means angry or vengeful spirit. Hime is the Japanese honorific word that means princess, which is the rules of Japanese grammar, is placed after a person's name instead of before. As is the custom in many Western languages, when the film's title was translated into English, it was decided that Mononoke would be left as a name rather than translated literally. This also explains why Ashitaki mostly calls the princess by her real name San instead of Mononoke.
That part was confusing.
With a runtime of 134
Princess,
minutes.
actually, the entire first time I watched the movie, I'm like, well, who the shit was Princess Mononoke?
Yeah, it's definitely so.
Like, again, some things needed explanation, or at least some sort of pre-knowledge. But hey.
With a runtime of 134 minutes, it is the fourth longest animated film ever made, after Uchu Senka Yamamoto Kaneksusen from 1983, which is 165 minutes. The Disappearance of Haruri Suzumiya, which is 2010, which is 162 minutes. And The Tale of Princess Kayuga from 2013, which is 138 minutes. Japanese mythology tells that dogs, wolves, are always male-voiced, and cats are always female-voiced, regardless of sex. For this reason, a man, Akihiro Miwa, provides the voice of Moro, the mother wolf, in the Japanese version. His casting is perhaps an in-joke to his career as a female impersonator. In the English dub, however, Moro is voiced by Gillian Anderson. Upon attaining the rights, Harvey Weinstein supposedly asked Quentin Tarantino to write the script for the English adaptation of the film. Tarantino declined, instead referring Weinstein to Neil Gaiman instead, who ended up writing the English version of the script.
Neil Gaiman is a better choice.
Yeah. Director Hayao Miyazaki and his team conducted extensive research and field trips to study the forest of Yakushima Island in Japan. The research influenced the designs and depiction of the film's lush and immersive forest environments. The cinematography was done by Atsushi Okui, edited by Takeshi Siyama, music by Joe Hisaishi. Release date July 12th, 1997, with a runtime of 133 minutes. With a budget of $2.1 billion, it made a box office of $169.7 million. 23.5 million was its budget, but yeah, big monies for Studio Ghibli. Probably their biggest staple.
Rewatchability. Well, I had to rewatch it, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
This is probably the second, maybe third time I've watched. I'm gonna say second time I watched this film, but I would rewatch this film again. This is something I could go back anytime and easily rewatch. It's just beautiful artwork through and through.
I'll rewatch it again. I just kind of want to absorb some of the just different imagery, like the
nuance,
forest spirits, and and the nature themes. It'll be nice to revisit again, and that scene, of course, where he shoots the guy's arms off. There's
I wish there was a
wanna
bit
see.
more of that, honestly. I could have gone for more of his,
yeah.
Superman fucking up other samurai antics.
Oh, yeah, man.
That was good
sick
stuff.
arrows. Yeah. Like, eat shit, Legolas.
Truth.
Right. Does it hold up?
Hell to the motherfucking yes, it is.
Yeah. Slight caveat for me. It does hold up. And it is probably easily the best anime I've seen, which I haven't seen that many. But as a movie, I think Medicine Man's better. Like, I think, like, again, because it's
mad. You're mad, sir.
But it's still just like has some of the things about animes that I find just kind of distracting and unnecessary. You know what? Is a perfect way to describe anime, and it's like it'll probably relate to the kids because I think the kids say that these days. I've heard the younger people say this. They just say somebody's being very extra. They're like, dude, you're being so extra. That's what anime is. I watch an anime and I'm just like, dude, you're being so extra. Like, you don't need, just chill, and just tell your story, you know? So there's a bit of that. This one's not too bad in that regard. Like, Redline's way extra.
Redline's so extra.
But like, anime in general, I find leaves me with that extra taste in my mouth. It's like, that was a bit much. But this one, I like it. It holds up. But again, as a movie,
it's the most balanced.
It's not my favorite movie. It's probably my favorite anime. But that doesn't translate to like upper echelon movies for me.
No, but I'm pleased that it's your favorite anime.
Yeah,
because I fully believed out of all the animes, this one would probably be the one that you would consider your favorite if out of the genre.
Again, only upon second viewing. Upon first viewing, I liked Redline more. At least I was more entertained by it. Like, I was entertained by the first half an hour of Redline.
Oh wow! I think we need to get into that.
Well, let's move on.
I've been holding back.
I'm pretty sure Eamon's gonna give Mononoke an A, or I mean a hold up as well.
Well, from what he was implying, he didn't like Mononoke as much, and it's a shame that he's not here to
Eamon,
air his grievances.
Are you listening? Tell us in the comments.
I was really looking forward to hearing his thoughts on what he didn't seemingly like about Mononoke, which is flabbergasting because he's like, I like Totoro and Redline, and I'm like, so you didn't like Mononoke? Because
I was wondering which one he meant. Interesting.
So see,
I just sent him a message.
See what he says about that, but I mean, this film holds up.
All right, well, let's move on to Theater 3. Redline from 2010, starring Takuya Kimura, Yu Aoi, and Tatsuya Gashuin. I'm trying here. And directed by Takeshi Koike. Man, I am probably like... Oh, yeah, Eamon says it does hold up, as does Redline.
Okay,
so, Mononoke's an A.
Mononoke's an A. As it should.
Yep. All right, well, hit the trailer. Let's not talk about Redline until we've absorbed this trailer here.
Crack cocaine of a trailer?
Yeah.
From the director of Animatrix World Record and the studio that brought you Summer Wars, Ninja Scroll, and Paprika, comes one of the most exciting and visually inventive films in years, Redline!
Visual garbage.
It wasn't the best animation, but at certain times it was. It was inconsistent, I would say.
It was so inconsistent. It was so inconsistent.
It looked like very different artists doing it at different times. They're different animation studios, maybe. Maybe they had too many different studios working on it.
Well, they had
Who knows?
They had Madhouse in Japan, and they also had a studio in America, and they were going back and forth between those two studios to make this film.
This one I did watch a dub, like I said, and it still had English subtitles.
Yeah, I ended up watching, like I said, I tried to watch the sub and I couldn't do it. The subtitles mixed with the art was too distracting to like try and read and keep like any sort of resemblance of what the fuck was going on in this crackhead movie. And I picked this because I wanted to see this.
Tadanobu Asano.
What do you see? Beyond the line.
Redline.
Ugh. Okay.
Redline.
The reason I picked this film was when it first came out, there was a bunch of hype about it. And specifically, I remember, you probably don't know this YouTuber named Moist Critical. Goes by his name's Charlie. Yeah, that's fair. Me saying Moist Critical, anybody watching this probably knows who he is. He highly recommended this film when it came out. He was like, "Oh, this film's like one of the best animated films I've animated." Like, he's a big anime fan, and he thinks it's like one of the better anime films he's ever watched. He thinks the animation is top notch, and it breaks ground and all this stuff. I sat down and I was like, okay.
It's detailed at times. Like
It's not.
It's fast.
Not
like
even
like,
detailed. It's like, here's my problem.
Sometimes
with this film.
you look into the crowd and there's like 40 characters and they all have fair bit more detail in them than Totoro does, and that's a main character.
Okay.
It's all in what you compare it to.
The very few scenes where they're like wide and they were showing like crowds of people, those were detailed, but they were cutting a lot of corners. There was a good portion of this movie where the background was just white paper and a couple of black lines that were supposed to be mountains. And then another portion of this another half of this movie, the background was just black. And then they would have like black ships on black backgrounds. There's no visual contrast. So it was really hard to determine what is happening in this cacophony of cocaine crackheadness. Like they wanted to like animate it like the crazy scenes with a fisheye lens, but if the fisheye lens was cranked up to 300 and you could go macro with it and smear everything, and it was just so much. Like, when you talk about anime films being like outlandish and their faces are weird and there's crazy animation, you don't know what this is what you're talking about. This movie is like typically everything that you've ever complained about animes. Every second of this film, I'm like, okay, I get what Davin's talking about. I understand what Davin means when it comes to anime.
Extra.
This is too much. This is too much, and there was no thorough line. It was just so like, here's a crazy scene, here's a crazy scene, here's a little bit of a weird scene, here's more crazy scene.
You just interrupted for 1 sec. Let's speak on that point. So it didn't bother me as much in this movie because what I find with all the extraness in most animes that I watch is that it's distracting from what would otherwise be an interesting story. Whereas this movie has no story, so there was nothing to distract from. So it actually needs the constant distraction to even be entertaining. That's the entertainment value of this movie, is the fact that it never stops moving. Like, here's what's funny with this movie, though. So they have these different races, right? There's like the yellow line race, and then the blue line race, and when you're trying to get to the red line race, it's like the big race. So the very first opening scene, which before the credits even come down, it's probably like 10-minute scene, is the yellow line race. Yeah. And that race I actually found interesting because they're introducing all the different characters, and some of them are quirky and funny, like there's Psycho Man and like
Lynch Man and all these like different characters. Well, okay, here's the thing. This film is basically Death Race 2000.
Yeah.
If it was mashed into an anime and had the art style of Beautiful Joe. Do you remember that game? Beautiful Joe back on
Beautiful
GameCube?
Joe for Sega Genesis.
Yeah. No, not was it Sega? No.
Wasn't
it
Beautiful
was
Joe on Sega Genesis?
No, it was a GameCube game. Beautiful Joe was
something else.
Yeah, I think you might be thinking of that comic book game where you could like jump through panels and stuff. That game was amazing. Anyway, no, Beautiful Joe, because there was specifically the scene with the princess, and I was like, oh, this is the same art style as Beautiful Joe, which I haven't seen in years, and I actually had to go and see if like the guy that made Beautiful Joe had any correlation to this film. None whatsoever. I was like, all right, that's fine. But I couldn't stop seeing that art style. I found the black lines were like, I don't know, I felt they were too thick or too heavy. Like, it was just, a lot of the art was flat. It was a lot of flat colored art. Where we go from Miyazaki, who has details and leaves and grass and like the most eccentric and beautiful background paintings. It does look a little more amateurish. It was so flat and empty feeling compared to like the Ghibli stuff, which is just gorgeous in every scene, and then you just like go through this and you're just like, what am I looking at? What is this? Is that supposed to
But
be
again,
a
I
background?
found these visuals still more interesting than Totoro. Totoro was a little too boring in its visuals for me.
Yes, like
whereas this one, like I found some of the alien designs interesting. There were a lot of weird aliens, and some of them were kind of unique designs.
Yeah. Well, let's
some of them were pretty
take
basic,
a look, shall
like just like dog people and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of dog lines. But yeah, there's they would have these shots like these, which are like really detailed, and then they would cut corners with like other shots or like animations of people talking and stuff like that, you know? So yeah, we're on the planet Dorothy. A racer named JP participates in the yellow car race, which serves as the final elimination race for the galaxy's most popular event, the Redline. Quickly,
this is
we're
my favorite
introduced
scene already.
introduced to Davan's favorite scene that holds up.
See, the first 20 minutes of this movie was fun.
There's only 50 clicks left to go at Planet Dorothy's yellow line.
Oh, you're not getting any of the...
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my audio here.
Okay, well, there's no audio there, so...
She's got her hover jet, the Crab Sonashi, rocketing toward the finish line. Right behind her in second place is the winner
Son of a
the
bitch.
very first red line.
Yeah, the audio didn't work. But yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
the
basically
audio...
The dude's just like, get your camera ready, get your camera ready. He's like, I got it. He's like, get the cap off, get the lens cap off. He's like, I got it. And they don't get it off in time because the cars go whipping by. And there's just like this delay where it's just like, everyone in the crowd is just like stunned for a couple seconds. And then they all start cheering. Oh, that was a fun gag, fun little delay. But like, so this yellow race interests me, and then by the time this movie gets to the red line race, I didn't care. I didn't care who won. I didn't care who was in it. I just didn't care about the red line race at all. It's like this movie was not effective in that regard.
No, I didn't care about this movie until literally the last like 15 seconds of the red line race when they're getting to the finish line. Then I was kind of like invested. It took me that long to get
It wasn't, but I
invested,
guessed what was going to happen. I'm like, oh, now I get his hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, like the
Saw
fucking
that coming.
pompadour. It's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
he's gonna
that's
win
just
by
ridiculous.
pomp, and he did win by pomp.
So yeah, JP's alien mechanic Frisbee has secretly fixed the race with a mafia boss intending for JP to come in second place. However, JP defies the plan and tries to win the race. In response, Frisbee remotely detonates an explosive hidden inside under JP's car, causing him to lose control and making Sonashi, Cherry Boy Hunter, McLaren the winner of the yellow line race. After the race, JP recovers in a hospital where Frisbee informs him that he is no longer in debt with his bondsman. JP initially refuses the money, but it's soon surrounded by reporters who inform him that he has been chosen by...
This is the only element of a story in this movie, is the plight of a character who has been cheating and maybe doesn't want to cheat anymore, but then you're stuck, and how do you stop cheating? Because then you have people coming after you, you know? So it's like, but they don't really explore that much.
Yeah, no, they don't explore much storyline. It's just like they kind of bombard you with insane visual after insane visual to try and hide the fact they don't really have much of a story. So yeah,
they got a pomp though.
He's got quite a pomp. He's telling, you know, he's been informed that, you know, nobody wants to go to Robo World because the Robo World is gonna shoot and kill all the racers. JP's like, screw it.
They don't want them there, which is hilarious. Like the race is just like, can we have the race on your planet? The planet's like, no. They're like, well, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, we're just gonna have the race anyway, which is
what?
just like wild.
Who the hell runs this race? That's so insane.
Yeah, the upper echelon of the politics could have been explored a bit more, I feel.
Yeah. Like there are like interesting things about this world that could have been, you're right, like delved into and made a richer world and a more interesting one.
So yeah, the Redline organizers had to relocate the race to the planet Robo World, a militaristic planet whose president threatens to execute anyone associated with the Redline if it appears over their planet. The racers prepare for the Redline by camping on Europus, or Europe, I felt like they were calling it Europass, but it's like pronounced EU with a backwards R, and it's PSS anyway. But we're gonna call it Europass. A moon occupied by refugees. JP tries to recruit Old Man Mole, an alien junk dealer, onto his team, but faces resistance due to Frisbee's presence and the use of a rare and uncontrollable hyper-powered engine. Eventually, Old Man Mole agrees to join JP. Mole agrees to join. JP also reunites with Sonoshi on the moon, where tensions rise when Trava, another racer, is attacked by subordinate by Colonel Volton. The restaurant is then raided by Volton and his soldiers, who warn the racers about the military's opposition to Redline. Despite the
here's another thing about this movie and why it just got worse for me. Because it's like eventually they pull back the curtain and you realize what kind of fellow maybe wrote this, where it does kind of start to feel like it's written by a very horny 14-year-old boy or perhaps a sexually repressed adult. Like, all the ladies are all, of course, very well endowed on their chests and wearing skimpy clothes. Like, they're very basically just like objects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just like, yeah, it's exactly. This is a 14-year-old boy's wet dream of a film.
It just gets gross. It just gets a bit gross as it's going.
So yeah, despite the military threats, celebrations and bookmakers' activities take place on Europass. Where this is where we get to my favorite scene of the whole film, which was really random. It's during when Sonoshi's sitting down watching TV and they're like doing
From the shiny
reels on the
planet,
players.
Freak and a taste for vengeance. It's Mickey and Totoro. They can turn any road into a racing circuit. They've got charisma to spare. They're out for blood at Redline.
Gory Rider, you motherfucker!
Gory Rider, you motherfucker! Oh my god, what's happening? Anyway, so yeah, that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. Just that one clip of these two guys who actually, they had a great scene later on in the film. They were probably one of my favorite characters. Yeah. So you get sort of these like character breakdowns throughout the episode. Yeah. Right, so android police robots raid the festivities. Meanwhile, miners on Roboworld sabotage the military base's power station, and the race commission hires Earth native racing partners Lynchman and Johnny Boya to sabotage the orbital disintegration cannon, which the Secretary of Defense's plan to use against the Redline mothership. During the race, the princess from planet Supergrass makes the course on the military base. Unaware of the sabotage, the president realizes the racer's presence and orders his troops to attack as the racers approach Zone 7X. They encounter a secret biological weapon called Funky Boy, which activates as the racers and miners converge. This is where we get to Eamon's scene where Funky Boy is causing some chaos, and they call in the defense cannon. This is cool, but this is also the biggest fuck up of scale in the film for me. Like, that explosion is massive. These people are flying, and this asshole is able to hold on to the girl and survive.
Energy discharge complete. Recharge commencing.
Right? Like,
I can't believe this is happening.
the power of the pump. Okay, sure. But like, he's literally, he's like in the wake of a nuclear explosion, and he's just sitting there, gets covered in ash. He's like, okay, we're good. Meanwhile, like, heavy vehicles are flying. Like, the sense of scale in this film was non-existent. There were moments.
There's no physics.
Like, there was no physics. It was just complete chaos. Utter.
That's what they wanted. Like
chaos.
you said, it's a cocaine binge fest. It's like this movie just wanted that. It didn't want physics. Didn't want to be grounded. It was higher than that. You can't ground this when you're this high, Murphy. You can't be grounded.
So the explosion caused by Funky Boy destroys the base, and JP tries to right his overturned card. So Onishi, whose vehicle is damaged, agrees to ride with JP to the finish line. Meanwhile, Volton takes out Funky Boy at the cost of merging with another bioweapon, which I thought was a pretty wild scene. Yeah. This is basically where I'm out of fucking screenshots because I didn't get to finish these. Frisbee watches the race in the mob boss's hovercraft and is given the opportunity to detonate the explosion charge. However, he refuses, attacked by mobsters, only to be saved by the old man mole. The mob boss and his lackeys are killed in the process, and the race nears the finish line. JP, longtime Redline favorite, Machine Head race neck and neck, propelled by rare steam light boosters in a desperate finish. Old Man Mole detonates Frisbee's explosive, launching JP and Sonichi from the vehicle. Despite this, JP's boost is enough, and he wins the race by the length of his long ducktail pompadour. At the end of the track, amidst the ruins of Robo World, JP and Sonichi float back to the ground, sharing a kiss and declaring their love for each other. The racers rest, and JP's victorious.
It didn't need, again, just another forced, weird romance.
God, the ending was so lame. It was the lamest. Like, oh, we're
honestly, Mononoke was the same way, though. Like,
no, not even. No.
Yeah,
Mononoke.
As far as the ending, yes.
No, I disagree.
Yes,
okay,
I didn't need a romance between the main character and Princess Mononoke.
I mean, if that's what you're referring to, but I feel like Mononoke had a more rounded... It's the same
problem as Lorraine Bracco giving friggin' Sean Connery a kiss on the cheek at the end of Medicine Man. It's the same problem. Man, they was out of the same movie. Jesus.
Okay, one, I feel like the San Ashitaki love story thing was probably more warranted than the obvious. The two humans in the universe of Aliens are going to obviously get together because he's had a crush on her since they were kids. But even just like the final ending scene where they kiss and stuff is just ridiculous. And the ending of Redline is so like ridiculous and makes no sense. Mononoke actually made sense. The ending to that film makes sense, and everything that happens to it makes sense. The scale you can comprehend. Redline you can't comprehend. It is an incomprehensible movie. I can't believe
It's nothing to comprehend. Really,
picked
it's just
it
a race.
and watched it. It is, but that's the thing. Like, there's a movie that we're gonna watch eventually, which is Ford versus Ferrari. All right, I've seen this film. I love that film. That film is about racing. That film does a better way of telling a racer's story and telling the story of being a racer than Redline does. Redline's literally just wacky. It's just insane, wacky nonsense.
Pretty much. Yep. And it just got worse as it went. It had me. I'm like, oh, this is Murphy's gonna be blown away when I tell him this is my favorite movie, and then by the end of it, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But
I wanted something out of this film, and the whole time I'm just like, this is a mess. This is ugly. This is stupid. There's no sense of scale. There's no sense of direction. There's no sense of any form of like a viable reality.
No line through the whole plot either. It's just like, okay, this one race is over, and now there's gonna be another race.
Yeah, we're gonna have this small little squabble between the two engineers and the racer. They're gonna fix and refurbish the car. There's gonna be a lot of like things that they probably should show or talk about, but they're just gonna skip over completely, just in the effort to get to the next scene, to get to the next moment, to get to the Redline race. And then you're having the Redline race, and there's so much shit exploding that there's no stakes. There's nothing like, there's not a single moment where I'm like, out of the 50 million explosions that happened between the beginning and the end of the Redline race, there wasn't a single moment where I was like fearful for anybody. It's like I couldn't even tell who was blowing up. I couldn't tell.
You can't tell what's happening because there's too many zoom ins. Like you'll see a car maybe getting close to another car, like, oh, what's happening? And then all of a sudden it just zooms in on JP's face for a minute, and you're like, what just happened?
They'll do that, or worse yet, they'll back out so fucking far, and then they've got this tiny little minuscule car running around on this.
You can never
you're
tell
supposed to be
happening.
like, what's that? Which car is that? Whose character is this? Like, you're supposed to be able to tell the characters by the vehicles, but half the times you can't even tell what the vehicle looks like.
Basically, just Phantom Menace. It's just a pod race.
No,
from
even the
Phantom
pod
Menace.
racing is makes more sense and is better than that. Like they try to be a pod race. It's like pod racing, Death Race 2000, and Beautiful Joe, and it was a cacophony of crap. And this is the movie you get with Redline.
Which performance would you hold up? I would say probably his, what is it? His agent, or his manager,
Frisbee.
or whatever?
Frisbee is supposed to be his engineer or whatever. I was actually going to give it to Old Man Mole, the four-armed guy, because he was like he was more like down to earth, and he was like, I'm not trying to fuck you, kid. This Frisbee guy is trying to fuck you, you know. And then he's like trying to look out for him, like, yeah. I would say him, and yeah, him. Maybe the two guys from that clip I showed earlier, whose names I can't even remember. You know,
Yeah, I'll throw in the kid who wanted the lens cap off the camera.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what happened with that audio. That's really weird. I don't know what happened there, but yeah.
You messed up all my clips tonight, Murphy. That's all right. I'm never watching any more animes ever again because of it. You had your chance.
Yeah.
All right. Now, setting aesthetic. Did you like the setting aesthetic, Murphy? You loved it, right?
No,
you loved it.
It was terrible. There's not a single frame of this film made sense barely. Like it was just, and like even the scene where she's at the restaurant and there's that like over creepy waiter that's like serving her and like hovering over her, and he like pantses them and stuff like that. Just the animations of him like moving his arm, where like the hand goes towards the camera like this, but he's way over there, and it's just like make it make sense. Have like lenses that fucking work, not some fucking like, look at me, look at my arms, like it's just aggravating. It was an aggravating, stupid film. And if Moist Critical ever sees this, you fucking have terrible choice in anime, sir.
Oh, calling out, putting Moist Critical on blast.
Much like this lacking
a couple
movie,
more morsels.
Much like this lacking movie, Redline from 2009's movie morsels are lacking. In fact, I only have two. This is the shortest movie morsels I have for any of the films we've watched.
Not to mention, by far the shortest episode of Hold Up, a movie podcast.
Yeah, we are actually going to be less than 2 hours, which is amazing.
Yeah,
using over
by the time
100,000 handmade drawings, Redline spent 7 years in production before its final release.
Oh, wow. So I bet you it was different studios. You can tell, like, they drew some in, 2003, and then drew some in 2009.
There was even that one scene where they just, like, cut to this family sitting at a table eating food, seemingly watching Yellow Line or Red Line or whatever, and the entire art style is completely different and janky and weird. And it just makes no sense as to why that art style's there for the 10 seconds it's there. Like,
I really noticed it is they did one of those super close-ups on JP, you know, when his eyes are bulging and he's sweating and stuff. And then they cut away, and then they cut back to JP's close-up, and it's completely different. Like, the art on JP's face is like definitely drawn by somebody else, and it was a bit distracting.
Now, the second and only other movie morsel I have for this film, which I thought was probably the funniest movie morsel.
Just got out of Spider-Verse, Cousin Dave says. Where's Eamon? Eamon left us at about 10-15 minutes in because it says his internet doesn't work.
Yeah, he couldn't get it to work, so he bailed on us. I don't know. Maybe he just pulled the plug and acted like, I don't know. Who knows? The final...
That doesn't sound like him.
So the final and second movie morsel...
Cousin Dave raised no bailer.
Yeah. The final and second movie morsel for this film. The PlayStation game series Wipeout.
Oh, maybe he did.
Okay. The PlayStation game series Wipeout was a huge influence in the concept of the film, a game that was played in the film Hackers, 1995.
Sure was.
That's my movie. Cinematography by Ryu Takazawa, edited by Satoichi Tarochi, and Nuki Kawanishi. Music by James Shimoji. Release date August 14th, 2009. A running time of 102 minutes. A budget of $5.5 million. A box office of $8.2 million. That is fucking Redline. glad it's over with.
Yep. I agree, Cousin Dave. Internet issues are credible. All right. Yeah, that is Redline. That was indeed Redline. Rewatchability. How many times are you going to rewatch this movie this year alone, Murphy?
Never. I will never rewatch that movie ever again. I can't. It was eye vomit. Like, pour vomit into my eyes. I'll have a better experience.
I love your distaste for this movie. It's funny.
I wanted to.
I'm
I
not
wanted
gonna
to like
rewatch
it.
either.
I could have picked a fucking plethora of anime films that would have done way better than this did. That are
This is getting a
supremely
B
better.
because Eamon liked it. This is getting.
Oh my god! It doesn't deserve a B. I feel like
It's getting a B.
I feel like his vote shouldn't count since he bailed so early. Let's put it way down on the D
Nope,
list.
he gets to keep his votes. That's the least we can do since he wasn't able to join us. So gets his sway. Does it hold up? Does it hold up? No,
What do you
no,
think?
it does. No,
God,
it just
no.
got too trashy by the end of it. Too
It's
14-year-oldish.
one of the emptiest movies I've ever watched.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Well, let's do our anime movie rankings.
I don't even think there's much question here. It's clearly Mononoke, Totoro, and Redline. Like, Mononoke is the most well-balanced.
Mononoke's number
creative
one.
film.
I actually
Yeah.
may have enjoyed Redline more than Totoro. Totoro bored me to tears. I understand that it's kind of sweet and but it was so boring. Redline I enjoyed more. I'm gonna say Redline over Totoro. I really didn't enjoy Totoro very much. And for the first 20 minutes, I enjoyed Redline, which is more than I can say about Totoro.
My mild enjoyment of Totoro well surpasses my absolute disdain for Redline. So it
That's
holds
fair.
second place for me.
That's fair. I don't have quite the disdain.
I was so mad watching this film. I wanted to turn it off, and I was like, "What am I watching? What is happening?"
Where's
What is
Jaemeel? We
going
got
on?"
plenty of time for spare change.
Yeah, I know, right?
Jaemeel, where you at? Some spare change. Well,
we're so
until
desperate
then.
for guests.
Yeah. Yeah, really. We're like, come on, Jody. Come on, Jaemeel. Come on, Eamon. Cousin Dave's out of Spider-Verse now, but he didn't watch these movies. All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
did you know?
I'm gonna try and see Spider-Verse so I can join you guys for that Mader cast if I can. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be Friday. Spider-Verse was awesome. Spoiler alert. So, we are a member of a United Federation of Podcasts. Were you aware? Let me get this Redline banner off there and stop
A
offending you.
federation,
There
you
go.
say?
A federation of podcasts, even. Where we have, of course, Hold Up, a movie podcast, the podcast you're probably listening to or watching right now.
We hope.
And our next episode will be on boats.
Sailing the high seas.
Guest is Kevin. Is it Kevin on this
I
one?
believe it's Kevin joining us.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay.
He picked yeah.
Das Boot.
Das Boot. And I
you
picked
got-
Captain
you got-
Ron.
And I
Just throwing a loop
picked-
at everybody.
Yeah, what film did I pick again? Something Seas of something.
In the Heart of the Sea or something like that.
Yeah, In the Heart of the Sea from 2015.
Yeah, I wanted to see that movie, so I'm looking forward to watching all of these because I've been meaning to watch Das Boot as well, which I've seen pieces
yeah.
of on A&E back in the day. And Captain Ron I've probably seen 10 times, but I get a kick out of it.
I
did
remember
as a
Captain
kid
Ron.
anyway.
I saw Captain Ron more than anything a few times. Das Boot, I don't think I maybe watched that once with my grandfather, possibly, but I can't honestly say that for sure. And yeah, the Chris Hemsworth, Cillian Murphy sea film I haven't seen yet, so looks like it'll be a good one, something Moby Dickish.
Yep. And we'll give him a plug even though he bailed early. Eamon on Track. Check out Eamon's podcast. Not his fault. On his podcast, his internet will always work. Let me tell you right now. Don't you worry about that. And check it out. He reviews
music
albums. He brings on guests. They talk about albums. I was on there. We talked about Robert Johnson. I think I'm going to go on again. We're going to talk about Sata Masagana, an album by the Abyssinians, one of the great reggae albums. Check that out. And
Well, if he invites me
also
again, I'll
check
have to
out-
come out with another hitter.
Oh, there you go. X-Rated, the X-Men Animated Review Show. We just did an interview with Lawrence Bain, the voice of Cable. Coming up, it was supposed to be this week, but Andre couldn't make it, so it's now next week. Check out Cameo Fest 1996 on X-Rated, the X-Men Animated Review Show. And my co-host Andre has the Graphic Histories podcast, of course.
Who's doing a
And,
live show soon, apparently. So if you're able to attend that, you should definitely.
Oh,
do it.
right, from the Comic-Con or something like that. Yeah. That'll be lots going on there at X-Rated and Graphic Histories, doing big things over there in the comics division. Super Mader Brothers podcast.
We are brothers!
Reality shows. They are brothers, except one of the brothers is rarely there, so it's more like cousins sometimes friends. Super Mader friends. But there's
Yeah, it should
usually
be
a
Super
Mader.
Mader Friends podcast.
Sometimes it's just Jaemeel and there are no Maders. But at the Mary Mader Marvel Society, we have a Mader. We have Dave. We also have myself and Jaemeel, and we'll be doing our Across the Spider-Verse review on Friday. Check your local listings. And also check your local listings for Trivial Debates. It'll be back. Not sure what the next one's going to be.
The next one's going to be an office theme one. We got Jason R. Phillips hosting that. I think we still need to score some guests, but yeah, it should be office themed.
Office, the Office, the TV show.
Yes.
And also check out the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackwood and Michael Chan. They'll talk about scary things. And
Mostly their lives.
Of course, if you love mostly their lives. And if you love Star Trek, as we all do here in the United Federation of Podcasts, we've got a great crew of shows and people bringing you those shows. We've got Locutors of Trek, myself, Dave Puxley, sometimes Adam, sometimes Ashley. Sometimes people show up. And we also have the Command Division review Star Trek shows, episodes. Strange New Worlds is back tomorrow. We'll be reviewing
I can't wait. I've missed Captain Pike.
That show. Me too. He's just delightful. And that hair. That's another sweet pomp.
Man's
That's how you wear a
ruggedly
pomp.
handsome. Great cook.
Yeah. Pasta Mama.
Mama.
And also we do radio theater. In the science division, we have a lot of fun games. We do trivia. We do debates. We launch probes, into all kinds of places.
Class L probes.
Yeah, Class L probes. And we learn things, Hopefully you do too. And of course, with the Computers of Trek. But that's it. That's our entire federation. One big happy family.
Good stuff.
Yep. Any final words other than
Surprise, motherfucker.
I'm glad, honestly, I got to really bust wide open your anime cherry. Just spread that jam well across the timeline, so that you're fully versed in the world of anime. You can no longer say you haven't watched anime. You've watched some. You know what it's about.
Yeah, Medicine Man.
You can speak on it. It's about Medicine Man.
World famous anime Medicine Man.
Yeah. So I'm glad I could.
Well,
take
I've seen
you on that
animes
journey.
now.
You've seen animes now,
enough.
and it won't be your last one. There will be more in the future, but not as collective. It'll be
Debatable.
more
Debatable.
sprinkled. More sprinkled.
see.
Oh, I intend to make you watch Paprika, sir. Paprika's a fucking trip, and it's so good.
Okay. Paprika it is. I do love the spice. So
Paprika?
Paprikash?
Paprikash? Yeah, so let's end this. I want to thank you all for joining us on this wonderful podcast of Talking Movies. This is probably our shortest episode yet. I'm sure you're enjoying it. We had a good time. And as always, thank you for joining us and enjoy the movies. And we'll see you on the next one. Let's leave you with some coming attractions and call it a night. The road's closed. Who are those pigs?
Oh, another one's gonna be subtitles. Yeah.
The road's clear, coming through. It's a weirdly paced
Oh, that wasn't very nice.
Sprengwagen nennen die das. Alles Leute von unserem Boot.
They're all boys off our boat. Columbia Pictures presents.
The boat. Das Boot.
A director's cut restoration. A Bavaria film production.
In Bavaria, we have a saying.
This is such a weirdly paced trailer.
Doesn't tell you
Photos
much.
of the crew returning, not putting out to sea. Why?
Weil sie dann Werte haben.
They'll have beards by then.
It's just trying to build suspense, but it's not doing it very well.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Die Tommys müssen sich ja schämen, wenn sie in der Zeitung
But
sehen,
shame the
wer ihre
Brits
Eis
to
macht.
see more boys give them hell.
Milchgesichter.
Baby faces.
Maybe faces all of them till those beards grow in.
Who should still suck mama's breast. Flood tanks.
And now war is scary.
Yep. Captain's still in bridge.
Especially if you're in a boat or a submarine.
Oh, dude.
There's nowhere to go.
Keep me out of the
Nowhere
water.
to go.
Herzlich willkommen, Herr Kapitän.
Captain, no, please, not me. That's Thomas.
Fireworks.
This is easily the worst trailer we've shown yet.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's some intense war scenes there for a sec, but like when that friggin' like torpedo or whatever came down by that boat, that was intense.
Well, men.
Alles klar?
Everything okay? Yes, Captain! Just like...
This is a very long trailer to give us not much.
I know. Astic. Ultrasonic detection system.
I think they're trying to like make this movie look like it has a faster pace than it actually has.
Yeah.
I guess all
Das Boot.
trailers do that. Das Boot.
Isn't this great?
Yay! Canada's own, not Canada's sweetheart, Martin Short.
The mighty Caribbean, home of romance
And other players.
adventure, and living legends like Captain Ron.
Let's hear the Harvey boat.
A man of courage and dedication.
When I was a kid, I just
whom
wanted
the
to be
sea is
Captain
more than
Ron.
a job, more than a calling. It's home.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Now, he's about to cast his very special spell on the Harveys.
Sucks.
I have worked very, very hard to plan a spontaneous adventure, and Captain Goofy, hey boss, Captain Cyclops, Captain's Contagious over there is screwing it up. Ah! You know, there's gorillas in these woods. No gorillas, not here, no way.
No gorillas.
He said gorilla, not gorilla. Huge difference.
Whoa, Dad's losing it.
Captain Ron, Captain Ron. May I have the camera, please?
Captain Ron doesn't mean a thing to me.
I am not jealous.
Captain Ron is teaching them the laws of the sea,
Hey, get your hands off that. You want a beer, you get your own beer.
taking them to places they never dreamed of.
Martin, we're in Cuba?
Back to the raft! Back to the raft!
And he's turning these four sailors into one big happy family.
I've never seen such sailors. Not in all my born days, I ain't. Every one of you is naturals.
The Pirates of the Caribbean!
What pirates?
Kurt Russell,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Martin Short,
Been to Disney World one too many times, have we, Captain Ron?
Captain Ron.
Dad!
Ron! Captain Ron!
Captain Ron. Captain Ron.
Ron.
Great movie. I hope it's still great. I used to love that movie.
Monsters. Are they real?
Yes, and they hunt whales.
I want you to tell me what happened. Tell me the secret of the Essex.
I don't
Or it's
expect a writer to
whales
understand,
that
Mr.
hunt
Marvel.
them. Oh wait, I see what you said
Promise
there.
me to come back.
I'll come back as quick as the summer's night, I swear.
There you go.
Normally, a captain gets to choose his first mate.
An experienced captain, yes.
Centuries before, sailors feared sailing off the edge of the earth.
Well, it doesn't get much more experience than Thor.
True.
But we were headed for the edge of sanity.
Oh, Spider-Man's on it too. This is Thor and Spider-Man. This is gonna be great.
It's Thor, Spider-Man, and
the Peaky fucking Blinders.
Blinders, yeah. I was gonna say.
The Peaky fucking Blinders.
What is it?
There be whales here, as Scotty would say.
Abandoned ship. We can't row our way home. We will surely perish out there.
I'm not quite sure what this movie's gonna be about, other than the obvious, but that can't be it.
Don't you quit on me. We're going home.
I think it's supposed to be like a dramatic telling Moby Dick.
As I live and breathe, he's mine.
So it's true.
You know I'm gonna cheer for the whale, right?
Yes.
Like, I hope we're not supposed to cheer for friggin' Peaky fucking Blinders over a whale.
Well, we'll find out in the next episode of Hold Up.